We have the
Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order.
And also at
All right. Roll call.
Soccer.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Radcliffe.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Williamson. Here. Stricker. He's online. Leone.
Yeah, I was waiting for me.
I was waiting for him to respond, but we have to do a vote to let him in the meeting.
Okay. So yeah, first off, do I have a motion to allow Stricker to be able to attend via Zoom?
Moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. There we go. Has everyone had a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right. I caught it there. All right, thanks, Mark. All right, public comments. Do we have anybody here from the public? I don't believe I saw a sign up. All right. So let's just move on to new business. All right. So we're right now without a vice chair. And so I'll open it up to nominations for vice chair.
I would nominate Garrett Anderson.
All right, we've got a nomination.
I'll second. Garrett as well.
All right. All right, so we got is there any other nominations? All right, seeing as there's no others, I don't believe we need to have a vote.
Well, you have to have a vote, but.
Oh, sorry, all right. Thank you for correcting me. All right, so we have one nomination, Garrett. Garrett, do you want to give a speech?
Vote Anderson.
Right.
Better than you.
All right, so we've got one candidate. All in favor of Garrett being the VP or vice chair?
Aye.
All opposed, or any opposed? No. All right, there we go.
Get Mark's in there.
Yeah, Mark, are you in favor of Garrett?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, so since we already have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary, I don't believe we need 4.2 on the agenda. Just so I'm clear on that, the reason I asked that be on there is if Nick did want to or was nominated to be the vice chair, then we would need to fill his position as well. So now that we don't need to do that, we can go ahead and move on. So Ed, let's go to the financial reporting.
Well, do you want to talk about the financial things lower? You want to talk about the financial policy?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and talk about the expense authorization.
Okay. So James handed out to you a paper clip. There's two pieces of information there. One's the set of financials, which I'll give to you at every meeting. And then the other one is regarding the travel policy. This was a vibrant conversation we had last time. So we kind of went back and really tried to figure out how we can make this align to what it needs to align to, be fair, provide us with accountability and so forth. So this document, the proposed document in front of you, is really for us to discuss. And then if we all agree with it, then we can move it forward. But there were a lot of different ways of looking at it last time. So I just wanted to put something together that I think aligns to everything that was said, or majority of what was said. And basically the way we're looking at it is if we look at meals and gas, which is typically whatever expenses that I would more often incur, $75 a day, that's right consistent with the counties per DM. In the lower half, as to GSA analysis on it, you can see that they're at 79, but it's $75 a day per DM. And then gas and mileage is at 65 cents. Pete made a good suggestion that I should put some kind of a qualifier on there that says, and adjusts accordingly, because it does adjust often. But for now, and you can see in the lower right, the IRS schedule shows it at 65.5 cents. So I just recommend we stay consistent with that. Okay. And then the next one is a little bit more, has a few more moving parts to it. So I took out the entertainment word. I found that is blasphemy. And so, so it is gone. I'm calling it, for sake of, for this argument, discussions, client expenses. Okay. We know what that means, but and the way I'm looking at that, client expenses along with air travel, lodging, and events like the conference I went to a little while ago. The way I'm thinking might be best, but again, give me your thoughts, guys, is we say that any of those expenses have to have approval, board approval, or you don't get reimbursed. It doesn't mean pre-approval, because when we say pre-approval, that we're not together often enough, and that creates a little bit of friction with timing and knowing when these events are coming up and stuff like that. But there's still the safeguard that you don't get reimbursed if they're not approved. So all those expenses have to get approved. And then we also put expense limits on. So even though there's approval process, there's still a limit to keep myself in check, or keep anybody in check. And these are numbers that I think are reasonable, but again, if anyone thinks that they should be lower, that's fine with me. I'm not married to these. I'm just trying to give us some structure. Yeah.
Clarification. So on the bottom line there where it says events 500, is that for the registration for the event itself?
The registration event, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
will clarify that.
I just went to the Mid-America EDC last week, and it was $800 or $900 for just the conference registration for just a 2.5-day conference. So I think 500 sounds a little low.
Does it sound low? What would you?
Especially if it's going to be like a. Yeah. Have you looked into? I know in the past, Charlie used to go to like ICSC. Do you know what that annual?
I don't know what that one was.
For the registration cost is for that one? I don't recall what it is, but.
The one I just went to was $250, so maybe I put too much stock in that as a benchmark.
Right. I don't disagree in the way prices are going right now, and even with hotels, depending, as long as we're trying to get the conference rate for the hotel or where they're staying. Right. That to me makes sense, or maybe offering a not to exceed, since this has to come back for approval afterwards anyways. Maybe we put a limit, as following what Garrett's talking about, is even with events up to and not to exceed like maybe $800 or $1,000, but you're gonna come back and need to show us with documentation what the registration is for the conference.
Right.
So, the idea is we wanna make sure, and you're gonna be letting us know what conferences and strategically why we're going to what we're doing well in advance. So I think we need to be able to give you some of that latitude to be able to do those things.
Yeah, so I guess the difference is, what's the difference between this 500 number and if we just as a board decide, yeah, this is an important one to go to and it's going to cost $2,500, is there does this set some sort of limit to us, or is that already
no, we want to have a
limit that happen?
You want a limit in place.
If it's already flexible enough, then it's fine. But
well, we can do that.
Is the limit just basically for your decision making when we don't have a board opportunity to weigh in? Is that kind of where the flexibility is intended?
So keep in mind, we're only meeting like 4 times a year.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if there is an event, like say the EDC that's downtown Chicago or Las Vegas, which is the one that Charlie would often attend, this at least sets some parameters so that Ed could go ahead. He still has to submit his expenses, but at least that one he knows for sure we would typically okay.
Yeah, it's just like, so we're not leaving anything open-ended. We're putting limits in place. It doesn't mean they can never be abused. I'm not, but they're there. But they also all have a approval process in there.
Because depending on what metropolitan area you may be going to for hotel rates are crazy. and then you start tacking on all the fees and the extra taxes, et cetera. So I think my suggestion would be a not to exceed or something like that to give you latitude. You're gonna have to come back and show us documentation of, the registration is the
Right.
registration. The hotel bill is the hotel bill, provided you're not getting like, the key suite or the,
Four Seasons.
Yeah.
or something like that. But I
Right.
mean, it's like, I think
Right.
you're a seasoned professional, we have to be treated as one.
Standard rate for ICSC is 1,050. For member rate, non-member is nearly 2,000.
Are you able to look ahead and pick out conferences that you're definitely gonna attend, like the ICSC or the
I would
Amazon,
think
pick out a couple?
That's a good question, and I would think I can. I haven't had time to do that yet, and I will, because that's a good point.
Although
And I will, and I don't want anyone to take this as this gives me, carte blanche to do things at the last minute. Some of that comes up because you don't know about it, but I think being planned out
Like the big
alleviates a lot of this, and we will try to, if we have the information, we will bring that up at the board meetings, yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna go out and take, professional needlepoint, seminar or something like that.
No, knitting maybe, but
So I
There's a lot
would,
of
based
fiber
on
artists in
that,
the area that need support, so fiber artists are a thing.
well, I was gonna say, like Ed and I briefly talked about this a couple days ago. For those already in municipal management, what ends up happening is like sometimes you're in between a council meeting. And so if an expense is way above this, is at least notify the board members. So if we don't know about it, it makes it a little tougher for Ed to okay, so like you're talking a $2,500 one. If we don't know about it, I mean, it's a little harder for Ed to feel comfortable going.
Yeah, and I would imagine if there was an event that was, $2,500, $3,000 to go to, I'm gonna bounce it off of you guys over the phone anyways, because
Yeah, and I would.
we gotta know if these are worth, these expensive ones are really worth the investment, right? Yeah.
And that's the other half of this conversation is, for me, I've been to the ICSC show in Vegas twice, and I don't think it's worth it. I don't, I've not made it a habit to continue to go to those. They have Chicago and Indiana versions that I think are good enough and more regional and actually more applicable to who our actual market is. So I don't think
Yeah, that's kind of
going to
my,
the national show is necessary.
it's in Vegas for a reason.
Yeah.
So I would suggest moving it up. I know I heard 8, I heard 9. I actually am comfortable with 1,000.
Yeah, me too.
Me too,
So if we can make that adjustment
for the events.
For the
for the
event.
events, yes.
Yep.
I'd like, if I may, I'd like
Sure.
to see, I think the client expense is $100 because that's, if you're gonna take a client out to coffee or something or lunch or something like that, that's what that's intended for. right?
Correct. I'm
So
not
I-
taking them to
Right.
shows or anything.
So I think that sounds logical. I'm not sure air travel at $500 is gonna cut it. I would, my own opinion is I put that at 800, I put lodging at 300, and I put events registration at 1,000. But then I think that there ought to be a caveat in here that says total single event and put that in there, on top of that. And regardless, even if some of these start going haywire, you put that in there. So that would include the travel, the lodging, the meals, et cetera. And I'd probably put that at 3,000. So
Good
that's,
suggestion.
That gives you some wiggle room. So if the flight is 600, is over, but it's still total under 3, it's over.
one of the things that we found with the state of Illinois and having people come in for events is that, like a speaker or a judge or something like that, some of them decide that they're gonna drive from, Texas up, and you pay more in mileage than you do
Right.
if they were to fly, so you have to kind of put some type of caveat in there. Okay, you can't
So the
take
caveat allows
advantage
you
of the
to.
driving just to make money,
Okay, yeah. The caveat allows you to have flexibility within the limits, but at the total, it can't exceed 3,000.
Correct.
Right.
That makes sense.
I agree 100% with everything that's been discussed, and I would anticipate that as you go through the budget process and look at what you're talking about for training or seminars, et cetera, you're already gonna be identifying what strategically makes sense for the year to be doing.
Yeah.
And then as other things crop up, this helps to give limits too. So I think our duty is to have a checks and balance, basically, make sure the seminars or conferences that are being attended fit with what we're looking to do here in our organization. And that's where I say we have to give latitude to our professional staff that are doing things. So I'm fine with all of these numbers, and I think we have to allow you the latitude to do that.
Okay.
So the only other suggested change is, I know it's stated in here, the 65 cents per mile. I'm more comfortable just saying per current IRS standard. Because then this way, because IRS changes it roughly twice a year.
That's what Pete was saying, yeah, so, okay, so just put.
Just so it's not, if you put in 0.65, then someone down the road is gonna say, well, he says 0.65.
It could go down, it could go down.
It could go down, it could go up, yeah.
Right, so
Agree.
just if the verbiage per IRS standard.
Yes,
Got it,
agreed.
Yeah, this way it's allowed to flow.
got it, okay, so let me read it back. So we'll change the gas mileage, we'll tweak it, we'll simply say per IRS standard. For the client expense, we'll leave it $100. Air travel, 800 was the new number. Lodging, 300. Events, 1,000, and then a all-in at 3,000.
Yeah. Oh,
My only, sorry, Larry.
Oh, I'm just looking through the expense sheet, May through November 23, and there's taxi service, parking tolls. Most of these hotels, you go into the city, you gotta pay, you can't park there anymore, you gotta pay for parking off-site, or they charge you for parking in their parking spot. So I don't know if that needs to be outlined on this, but I thought I'd just point out that it's there.
Other business expense.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Car rental's another good example, you're right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good, really valid point, I think. So,
Well, now we have to, we should use, or we will use, I will use the county expense report, which does break it down, I believe. So we could just simply say, is that included in the $3,000?
And that's fine with me, I was just pointing out that it was there, but whether you put it on.
You know, it's a good catch, yeah.
Miscellaneous or
Yeah.
whatever.
Because it adds up, and the parking is
Some of that
crazy.
parking could be $50, $60 a day, having just done that one day in Chicago. Not too
Yeah,
long ago.
yeah.
That was a $50 deal, and that was supposed to be at a conference rate.
Yeah, and obviously I would Uber if it's cheaper, but yeah, it's expensive.
why don't we just say other business expenses, $400, and that brings it right to the 4,000, doesn't it?
or 3,000.
Or 2,500, that brings it to 2,500, and then you got an extra 500 flexibility.
Other business expenses, put that at the limit of, what'd you say?
400.
400, okay.
But the other thing that I think we need to consider is, because we're gonna try to budget, right?
Yeah.
So I think when we try to budget, we should say, okay, there's gonna be a maximum number of, I don't know, 3 such events, or 4 such events, or 5 such events a year. And if they need to exceed that because of something absolute, then they come back and we kind of give a pre-approval on that type of thing.
And I would add to that, that just because you can go to 3, I think if that's the number, I think each one has to justify itself.
Right.
To us, right, okay.
And I think that's where the professionalism comes in that Laura was talking about, I agree. But I think to feel better and for us to do our budgeting, I think we need to say, okay, this is anticipated to be 40 events a year. I don't know where it is. I don't know, it's 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
events, I don't know. But
And I think that's another topic for Nick and Garrett, when we just kind of have our, whoever wants to attend those meetings, I think that's where we talk about a lot of the stuff, get ahead of it, talk it out, and then we're good to go.
So I'm comfortable with suggesting with a limit of 4 such annual events without pre-approval.
Well, I think we're still discussing the options, yeah. Waiting
4
for-
events, 4 events?
4 events, yeah.
Yeah, it's 12,000, it's $12,000.
Yes.
Okay. Any other procedural on this then?
No, everyone pretty comfortable with the suggestions that are? All
I'll
right,
get it updated and get it out.
okay. So,
Thank you.
yeah, so right now, we're just giving you the nod to make those changes and then,
Bring it back, but,
Yeah.
and this will be my guidance going forward between the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's it for.
All right.
5.1.
Okay, so, we're not gonna adopt it tonight, or today, we're gonna adopt it at the next one, but I'm also comfortable with the guidelines that we said, that if there is an event between now and the next meeting, that you can operate under those guidelines.
Yes.
Okay.
With all due respect, isn't it possible just for us to say, okay, we can reiterate what these are, and then we just adopt it today and
I agree.
they can memorialize it?
And there's that professional.
That's even better, yeah, I would
No,
agree.
you are correct. All right, so I will open, or I'm open for a motion out there.
With
also
changes.
correct, with those changes.
Motion to approve with the changes so noted.
Ryan's got it all written down, I think he should
Yeah.
make the motion.
I'll make the motion, you second it.
Second it, there you go.
sorry.
No worries.
For reiteration though, just so we all understand what we're talking about, and I want to make sure that Mark hears this too, because I know he's on the line as well, but I would believe meals administrator, $75 per day, as outlined. Gas mileage, per the IRS standard, current standard, I'll say, per IRS current standard. And then as we go down there, following along, client expenses, that would be $100 per person per day, right? Air travel, $800. Lodging, $300 per night. We've got event/conference registration, $1,000 per event. We have other business expenses, $400. And then we have total single event to include travel, lodging, meals, and miscellaneous expenses at $3,000. And then we also have, with a limit of 4 such annual events without prior board approval. Tana, you have that more or less?
Yep.
Good, okay.
I can second that.
Is that okay?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call?
So is it
Oh,
money, should we do a voice,
What's that?
we're talking money stuff?
Yeah, roll call.
Do a roll
Yeah.
call?
Yeah, I just called for one.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Anderson,
Yes.
Radcliffe,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Sauger,
Yes.
Stricker,
Yes.
Leone.
Yes.
Good.
Thank you, and thank you for the clarity. All right, partner reports. We'll go ahead and start off with Woodstock.
Sure, we're working on four bigger projects right now. One several we've talked about before. One that you're gonna see in the paper in the next couple of weeks, Lennar is looking at new subdivision near the hospital on 14, 320 homes roughly. They're going to the Plan Commission this coming Thursday. So apparently there are some neighbors that are up in arms and they're making claims like the water recharge into the neighborhood's gonna be disrupted and all their wells are gonna dry up and stuff like that. So
Sounds like what we're
And which
doing.
firm, which company, which?
Lennar.
Lennar, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but in general, we're confident that the city council is approving, is confident to move forward with them, even if the plan commission denies them, so it's gonna be just fine. But that's the milestone here is that it's the first neighborhood that represents actual new construction rather than just finishing out existing neighborhoods that were already platted before the recession. So it's a big milestone. We're happy with that. Although technically it was already proposed before the recession, it just was never built out at all. So what I mean is actually built out. The other one is the downtown diecast site. That one still moving forward, but we're just hitting some snags on what the incentive levels are gonna be. We're trying to hold the line on what we're offering, and they're making some tweaks to basically reduce the scope a little bit to adjust for what we're not willing to offer more. But in general, we're pleased with what they're proposing, and we're moving forward confidently. Large manufacturing one, Lake Avenue, right next to Walmart. There's a large warehouse there. We approved it a couple years ago as a warehouse for Harley Davidson. It's now back on the market. And there's a group from Lake County looking at bringing in roughly 180 jobs into that building again, plastics manufacturing again. So we're really excited about that. I'm working with Agnes on the state on getting the state edge credits, applying for that. It's pretty early still, but it's the kind of thing, you guys know the pattern, I think, where they've kind of gone quiet the last couple of weeks, and usually that either means that they're really digging into negotiating the purchase price with the owner and they're not talking right now because they're negotiating, or they're losing interest and they found a different site. One or the other, but I'm hoping it's the first. Agnes from the state has told me that they've hired a professional consultant to work with her on the state edge credits, so that generally tends to mean that they're moving forward, but we'll see. And then the other one is another large residential project downtown. We have our own public works site is downtown adjacent to the train station, and we're looking at a potential move of that public works to facilitate this other group. So the other group is really interested. They're moving, they want to move forward with, again, roughly 230 units, I think, residential on that public works site. But we haven't got a good plan of where we're going to move public works yet. So, and that's a $10 million proposition. So we're not ready for that. So we're kind of not on the same page quite yet on that one. But in general, the developer is there and ready to go. So if all those move forward, we'll have lots of enterprise zone fees for the zone. So those are the four big ones.
County Transportation is looking for a nice facility in the southeast corner of the county. So if Woodstock wants to have that facility, their facility down there, we could maybe work something out.
Right?
It'd be a little bit of a
City
drive
Public
for
Works
Public Works, but maybe down in
county
Algonquin area or
facility
something like that.
Sure.
All purpose.
Yeah. So. Otherwise, the ones that are under construction are already with enterprise zone benefits. You've got the food shed co-op. That's already looking really good. I'm trying to remember which other ones used it that are still under construction. The Tropical Smoothie Cafe is already open. I think they used it. Most of them are mostly complete, I think. I don't think we have a lot of outstanding projects right now. Something I'd like to have someday is an active list of what's our active projects, what's the ones that have already closed, and we can kind of review that each time.
Yeah, we should do that for the whole zone.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a good strategy. Anything else? Maringo?
Well, I'll
Go right ahead.
make
You
some
usually
of
try
it, and
next
then
week.
I'll
I'll chime in
have Nick
whenever.
chime in. But we're obviously working through our DCO grant. That's a very large, large projects for the city. We're getting ready to go out to bid for 3, possibly 4 of our large projects, which would include some new treatment plant for water quality. We're continuing to do land acquisition to extend our sewer and water down Meyer and 23, so that's a very big development. Hopefully, as that kicks off and we get more interest, that might be more development. That's the whole idea. And then just some other improvements that we have, 2 wells. We're looking to build another deeper well that will also help us with our water quality issues. So I wanted to report on that, and I know we've got lots of homes being built with an infill development with MI Homes. We echo some of the same things you're hearing, Garrett. Almost to the T, almost to the T. And then we have the infill that's happening at Deer Pass Meadows as well. And so we see those townhomes going well. And then we also have a couple townhome developments that are maybe being contemplated. So a lot on the plate right now. It's exciting.
That's great to hear.
Anything else, Nick, that I may have missed?
Other than that, just a couple small developments with Brown Bear Daycare. They're building
Right.
out their
That's
daycare center. So that's huge for the community. It's going to be great for the residents. But as Laura kind of mentioned, we're putting a lot of our eggs in the basket with this grant. And hopefully we'll start utilizing the enterprise zone after we get that water and sewer installed.
Nice. Thank you. So for Harvard, you know, here has been pushed for more residential. We have a contract with one developer to put up 21 duplexes. They've already built 5. Another developer, smaller developer, for 5 houses, and they've already done 3 of them. And then a couple of one-offs, and then we currently have a developer that's getting ready to present to our planning and zoning for a zone change, about 360 units. So it's
Single family, multifamily?
multifamily.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking a lot of development. Harbor's needed it for a while, and it's starting to happen. 12 permits already for homes, already started construction, which doubles our largest in the last 10 years or so.
Wow.
So yeah, with more to come. We did fill out an RFI. And if Donovan was here, he'd be able to fill you in a little bit better, but we did fill out an RFI for a company to go into the industrial park. We're right now neck and neck with a place in Ohio. So it's either us or Ohio.
My money's on Lou.
Yeah. Well, I kept telling him, hey, if you're a Cubs fan, you want to be here.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
Nobody wants to be a Buckeye. So, but that's it. And then where we can, we're helping out with the Dean's plant out in
Yeah.
Chemung.
Yep. I was gonna give a little bit of an update on that. You're done?
Yeah, I didn't have much more. If you leave me space, I'll talk for the rest of the day. So.
Before we go that route, any information you have on any of those housing projects, I will take eagerly. We are keeping a running report.
Oh, and before I shift over, Mark, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, you probably know a little bit more about that than I do. I've had some conversations with at least the developer of the said company you mentioned, but nothing definitive.
All right, thank you, Mark. And one last thing, we did arrange, we actually had a planned congressional visit earlier, was it back in November, but for various reasons in October, thank you, yes. But with the whole budget crisis and everything else at the federal level. What's that?
There was no speaker.
Oh, there was that, yeah. Yeah, there was that.
They had to vote on the speaker, so that's why they passed.
So all that got pushed back and we just locked in. So we have Representative LaHood coming out for a visit on January 4th. We're going to take a tour of the U.S. Medical Glove facility, and he's allotted about 45 minutes to talk to just city officials about kind of the projects we would like to see done.
Good. He's my old rep from Central Illinois when I used to live down there.
So, all right, that is all I do have. So go ahead and, oh, sorry.
I did have one more thing, just for you data nerds in the crowd. About 2 days ago, I think I got my email from the Census Bureau that the 2022 American Community Survey data has finally dropped. So all the newest updates to, you know, median household income and population estimates and all of that, the newest round of that has just dropped. So,
Okay. Thanks for that.
for example, Woodstock went up like 1.6%, which is pretty good for a 1-year growth. And then the incomes, you know, mostly because of inflation, but incomes are up significantly, which is really good for all of our, I haven't looked at everybody else, but ours went from like 77 up to like 83, so a pretty big jump. And even the 77 was a big jump from the previous year of like 73, so.
Okay. It's a good thing to check.
Yeah, so
We're working, Sheila and Daigle on our staff was
working with CMAP to try and get some better population estimates updated. We're working through the planning and development staffs of our municipalities because I really think we were a little undercounted in 2020. It was during COVID and everything, and we're kind of trying to cast McHenry County as a pilot with CMAP for some more ongoing live census numbers. So more to come on that in early 24.
Thank you, Pete. I did have one last thing. I see this happens. Give me enough space, I start remembering a lot
good stuff.
So one of the things too to help Harvard out is doing a brochure, and with that is doing a new logo. Our logo has been around since around the 40s with just minor changes. So we did reach out to, yeah, this is our current logo. So this is the current one. We've got one that I'm getting ready to present in January to the Community Development Committee there in Harvard to see if they like it and if they want to move forward with it. So we are trying to do a little rebranding as well.
That's great.
I don't know how bad I'm going to get slapped around for it, though, I'll be honest with you, because 70 years.
Sure. You'll get slapped around.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who created it probably isn't around anymore.
It's essentially been this logo, except that, it was rough drawn before, or instead of Home and Milk Days, it said like just Harvard there in the banner.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's just, that's the biggest changes. So this one is a whole new look.
Yeah.
So,
Change can be good.
so, but February is our next meeting. So hopefully it's not my last meeting.
Right?
It might be January. Oh, and speaking of the housing report, did all of you get the last one that James did? He sent it out a while ago, so
I think I got it.
You think you got it?
Yeah.
It's important that we.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody doesn't have a recent copy of it, let me know. I'll send it out as soon as possible.
Okay.
It was a pretty deep dive. It was well done, and that's why we're gonna do it now every year, so.
Yeah, we're just we're gonna keep it running. So our 23 numbers obviously are already concrete, anything for 24 and beyond. And then we're just gonna keep, cutting it off at the year and then keep moving.
So the exawatt, yeah, so we have a solar cell company that we've been talking with. This is the EDC now, but it is also what the Dean's plan is also in the enterprise zone. So, and where we're at with that is we've had 3 meetings with them, very good meetings. We've been able, the last couple of meetings, we were able to assemble a virtual team to where they could speak to contract manager, someone about contract management, somebody about all of the incentives, whether they be federal, state, or local. We gave them an assessment of workforce in the area, brought in introduced them to a lawyer that they can use, to a foreign trade zone lawyer. He needed a lot of support in all of this, because all this was coming at him and he couldn't just do it by himself. He's got a small team right now, Tim, his daughter, and his finance guy. But Moo, his name, he really likes the facility. He really likes, I think, the county. He lives in Urbana, Champaign. He has an office in DeKalb, and he's looking to not only at the Dean's plant to make the solar cells, but he's looking at Rockford, possibly Freeport, to make solar panels. So this could be a very good setup for him, and as a result, it's very attractive to him. Just to cut it to the kind of the bottom line here, is a challenge we're having, no surprises, can we get enough power to the site for what he needs? And he needs an awful lot. So we've been talking with John at ComEd. He's doing some analysis and feasibility reports to see if we can use the existing infrastructure and how much we can add on to that based on its capability and so forth, or capacity. So, I'd like to say that I felt better about it a while ago, but then after my recent conversation with ComEd with John, it's a little bit more daunting, but we're not gonna give up. We're gonna continue to figure out how we can get what he needs and look at it either in stages or look at, are there other financing options? If anybody's aware of any financing options that he would be able to apply towards the cost of laying new wire or whatever cable, whatever it may be, to bring the power to that facility. I think that's where the hiccup may be right now. So, but it's, other than that, it's everything's going well. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see, and I'll continue to update you on that. If you have any questions, just ask.
Okay, thanks for that update. All right, administrator's report.
Okay, so that takes us then to the financials. I'll just speak to the top page. The back page, pages beyond that are really just backup and all of that. And if you have any questions, just ask me. I put notes to the side to explain any of the more significant deviations. So you can see, starting at the top, our total income, we're about 6% behind last year, indexing at about 83% of our budget. That's basically, as I mentioned last time, it's the same reason driving that deficit. It's the pet dying amendments and the revenues we got from that last year that we're not repeating this year. Obviously, the contributions are higher because of Marengo. We won't get that KISS next year, but we've got this year. So that's the look at the income. From an expenses perspective, the one thing that does jump out is in contractual services, which reflects the first payment, that $36,000. 30,000 of that is the first payment from the EZ to the MCEDC. Okay, so that's what that is, and then the balance is just the drone maps and from what we discussed last time that were done earlier in the year. If we go down to total expenses, then that takes us to about 10% increase over last year, indexing about 111% of the budget. So, you know, not too far off, but we do want to get it more in line. Total net income then is down about $10,000, and again, the $20,000 in the project fees is really the cause of that, like we said earlier. So I was talking earlier about possibly doing a amendment to the budget. I was asking Brian just kind of how you all handle the budget amendments changes, because I don't believe the full year budget, the one that I have anyways for the EZ for this year, includes the payments to EDC. And so they're, you know, so it's easy explainable. We all understand what happened, what the issue is, but you know, there'll be another $30,000 payment towards mid-year going to the EDC, and so that will adjust because we don't have, you know, we'll be behind versus budget, of course, because we didn't have it in the budget. So we're looking at doing an amendment to that. Okay. And that was really all I was calling out. Everything else I think is you know, understandable or acceptable or not that big of a deal, but if you have any questions.
So just quick clarification, and maybe this is a silly question, but on the next page we see like a wages and payroll expense. Is that direct payment to the EDC going to be in lieu of those wages and payment?
Yeah,
wages and salary, basically?
Yeah, so the big payment there is, I think it's 35 in the budget. It's like $3,500. $3,500. You talking about wages?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 35. That's
rather than paying an employee directly, we're just paying the EDC, and then
that's Charlie.
All your payroll stuff just comes from the EDC rather than from the zone.
Right. So now Charlie's still on payroll through December, so we'll get a KISS starting in January. But until then, we still have that.
Yeah. I was looking at this line, the wages and payroll, and maybe you don't have the history enough to know the answer to this, but I'm just curious why the variability of it. I mean, in June it's 5,000, and then a couple of these months it's 1,700, and then in September 7,000 again. You know, I'm wondering what the spikes are all about.
Yeah, I looked at that, and I believe that's from when Charlie was paying that gentleman for the drone.
So that was coming through payroll?
Oh, I thought you said wages. Oh,
yeah,
no, I thought you said part-time wages. You're talking about wages.
Just the 3110 line there?
Okay. Yeah, I saw that too, and that was,
And I
Wasn't Charlie-
understand you don't
no,
have the history with the
I
organization.
know, but I did look
Curious
into
if you
it. I
have
believe
an
it was Charlie was getting compensated for extra work
answer. Okay,
relative to the amendments that he was doing for the pet dine program.
okay, that could.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, I do think there's an opportunity to spread the budget out a little bit more reflective of what we think the reality will be.
Sure.
Going forward.
A side question, how is that transition going?
It's going well. We had a recent hiccup in the office, but it's going well. We're getting activity through the website. We have to fix the website, though. We have to improve, because we have to be able to monitor how much is coming through and what it's not doing, what it's not providing, and so forth. But so far, we're getting, we got everything caught up. Want to make sure nothing in the transition slipped through. And we continue to get a number of submissions or inquisitions. We get a lot from Garrett. We do get a lot from Woodstock. Charlie's been great. We're not relying on him nearly what we were at the beginning, but he's accessible, which is nice. It's going well at this point. Yeah. I think more important will be what you all think. 4 or 5 months from now will be a good feedback. And if there's something not happening, don't wait 4 or 5 months. Let us know right away. I know you will. Let us know right away. But there are things that we can fix and do. But in terms of the interaction and just managing it, it's going well. Thank you. Any other question on the financials?
Now, I'm going to ask for, do we need to accept the financials?
They were not in the packet, so you could kind of do a general consensus of accepting them as presented. But they weren't in the packet,
Yeah,
so you can't exactly vote on
I
it.
got these yesterday because the month just closed, so that's why they were in the
Not a
packet.
problem.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure that we're doing it
exactly.
properly here.
Right.
So overall consensus is good.
Okay. Tiana, do you need?
I have.
You do have a copy of, okay, good. Okay. And then, I don't have any other outstanding new issues. I do know, Lou, you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and I hate to say this again, I'm gonna push this off to the next one, because I thought we were ready, but we were not, and I still have to talk to somebody else about their feelings on the proposed changes. Because it would affect Marengo. Yeah, so I do apologize about not being, having that ready. It's now the second time I've asked to push it off, there won't be a third.
Okay.
What is the,
So, and kind of briefly what I talked about at the last meeting is the city of Harvard, for the EZ, we don't have residential as part of the enterprise zone, and we want to include residential projects in with a bare minimum for entry, not just any residential development.
yeah, I understand that, but what's the issue getting it moved forward is just.
And just talking
with
with the other 2 partners in it. Yeah, sorry, I keep putting it on my schedule, and it's like, oh, I got this fire going on.
What you need from me, but
Yeah.
I'm good. Go for it.
So,
That happens.
so yeah, there won't be a third one. I will make sure to talk.
I just didn't know if there was some other issue there.
No, as far as the city council, they're, for Harvard, I've got the okay from them to move forward with this. I've already, at our joint TIF review board, mentioned it to, or talked about it briefly with the school, so that they're aware of it. Yeah, so I've been bringing people up to speed within Harvard, but I need to actually talk to our outside partners too.
Great, thanks.
And did we clear up the, just another side question, did we clear up the signatory question?
Well, we have the 2, so we have to nominate or just appoint a third. And we only need 2, but I think we have a third in case one's not around or available.
Right.
So no, we still need to assign a third. And if we could have it be somebody in Woodstock or, close to.
So would it not just be the officers at this point?
Yeah, I believe it should be the officers.
Can be, and then we just have to make that formal or official, right?
So it'll be your vice chair.
Yeah, you're the secretary, right? So the three of us.
Okay, so you're gonna be the third signee.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Apparently you're in Woodstock.
Yeah, fits that bill too.
Thanks,
so.
Lou, for catching.
Well, he just kind of elbowed you, didn't he? Okay, so
Excuse me, how we worked it, I'm signature right now, so.
that's right.
Last time, we had to go to the bank, and somebody, I don't remember exactly what all we did, but sign off on it, and the other person had to go.
We did. So we had the chair, myself, and you as signatories. In this case, what we would do is just, we'd go to the bank, you would have to go to sign, and then we would ask to have your signature removed.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with it, that's fine, and if you need me to go to the bank, just give me a heads up.
Okay. And I'll trust that you'll coordinate all this.
Yeah, yeah. And we got some signs, some checks to sign here.
Wait, what? I got our three.
Okay, and then just 119 is our next board meeting, but I think that's all I had.
Yeah, that's all I had as well. Anybody else have anything else to add?
Just want to reiterate the request to do some sort of project report. I think would be helpful. And I'd be happy to cooperate in compiling our side of it.
A list of all the projects, yeah, I agree. If, I know you have something already well.
Just as part of our monthly, our quarterly meetings.
Yeah, yeah, it
I keep one
absolutely.
locally anyway, and I'd be happy to share that with you.
Yeah, well, and I saw it, it's great, I'm envious. So yes, please share that with us and we'll get that up and running.
Sure.
Yeah.
One last question. Where'd you get those signs?
I've had them for a while, I'm not sure. My wife probably. She probably found them somewhere, I don't know.
Dr. Seuss. Mark, I don't know if you can see it, but Garrett's very festive today.
I'm glad we're done because we have the Woodstock High School Madrigal showing up at City Hall at 11:30 to
Oh, okay.
serenade us with Christmas carols, and so I'm prepared.
Yes, you are.
So we got Mark, do you have anything else you want to add or any comments?
Nope, I'm also glad because I'm walking into my next meeting.
Oh, okay. So, all right, with that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in